Hello, welcome to the Insane Asylum. I'm your host, Insane Joe, and today I have Neal Gibbons from Illinois,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah. And whoops. And let's see, I've met you a couple of times now at a couple of different Paracons down there.
Right.
And we had some nice chats. So tell us about yourself.
Well, I grew up in the south side of Chicago. I grew up in a place called Mount Greenwood. I lived there until I got married when I was about 24. And I started working for the sheriff's department for about 30 years. I've dealt with psych criminals for about 22 years. Uh, Always been into like the paranormal, the supernatural. I do ghost tours throughout Chicago. I've been doing it for the last 10 years. It's my 10th anniversary. With Graveside Paranormal Ghost Tours. We take people out into the night for about 4.5 hours. We go through a lot of the old haunts of like Resurrection Mary. We talk about Bachelor's Grove. We talk about Archerwood Cemetery. We talk and we try to explain what certain hauntings are and how they come about. We talk about ley lines. But that's basically it. And I do events. I put together events for the paranormal supernatural. I do speaking events. So I go to speaking events and I speak about different kinds of stories about the paranormal and the supernatural. So it's simple. It's not too much about me, but I keep it honest. Keep it honest.
Well,
I
that's the
find,
way to do it.
yeah, you have to. You have to be
You
completely
know,
open and honest with people.
well, that and there's those people that do it just for the fame, the money, and getting on TV and, embellishing those stories. Sometimes I think the truth is more scary than the stories that come afterwards. You know, like for
Hmm.
example, the Amityville house. You
Right.
know, the DeFeo family got killed, murdered in that house. I think that whole, going to create some bad mojo there. But the stuff that happened afterwards, I'm not sure if I buy it. Because that was all a publicity stunt for the books, the movies. You know, and the families that lived there afterwards haven't seen anything. You know.
Well, the one thing though is if they did, they probably wouldn't say anything. Like I did what was the name of the Laura Dididio? She was the reporter for Amityville, and I did a podcast with her, and we actually had it in two parts.
Yeah.
And she was a reporter there with originally Ed and Lorraine Warren when they did it that first day. You know, they were only there for one day, and she goes into detail about some things that were going on at that house. Now, you're absolutely right. Is throughout time they want to sell a book, they want to sell a movie, they want to sell a TV show and keep it going. And you're absolutely right. Take for instance the Conjuring movies. Okay, as much as I love them, and I truly do, I love movies like that.
Yeah.
I enjoy them,
Me too.
but I know that there is some kind of bull to it. Of course, you got to sell it. It's entertainment, dude. But if anybody, especially the last Conjuring movie, anybody who's really read the book or knows the history of it, some things do not line up, and that's the part where Hollywood comes in.
Oh
And
yeah.
Hollywood's got to do their job, and I get it. But to what point do we end it and let people understand what really is going on somewhere? Like when I go on the tours and I take people out to places or haunted locations, I explain to them, like take for instance, Resurrection Mary, okay, that happens in the Chicagoland area. I explain to
Archer
them,
Avenue.
right? I explained to them that a lot of this has to deal with environment, and you have your ley lines that lay up and down Archer Avenue. And I explained also to people, in it's a very detailed story. See, this is such a delicate story, the whole story of Resurrection Mary. I explain at the end that this is a TOPA effect. This is because of the supernatural ley lines that lay underneath the earth. And I think I talk about it as like it's a faucet. When the environment changes, that faucet is turned on a little bit and that flow of water is coming out, just that little dribble, which is supernatural activity. On the days that are just right, the environment's just right, maybe the people are just right. That faucet could be turned on all the way, and then now all of a sudden you're getting all that supernatural activity that's coming out through that's Archer Avenue. And I believe that the more people talk about things, the sightings of Resurrection Mary, the more we bring it to life, which is a Topa effect.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. And I kind of thought that too. I mean, I love the stories.
Hmm.
The one about the cab driver picking her up and then following her into chats, and oh no, you just saw Resurrection Mary. Sit down, we'll buy you a drink.
Hmm.
You
Yep.
know.
Yep. That happened in 1977.
And then you go across to the cemetery there. It's okay during the day. But at night, when I was out there at night in that area, we saw things that just from the road, like the lights in the big mausoleum thing go on and turn off, and you don't see any cars in the parking lot.
Yeah, what though is that all right? And
But
I've talked.
yeah, I could say those could be motion censored
They
lights
are
or on
motion.
a timer. I get that, but it's just kind of strange that it happens at like it did that night.
Well, I know that it's motion censored because I've walked through there, which is a beautiful. By the way, it's one of the most beautiful mausoleums you'd ever see. It's actually part of the Guinness Book of World Records. It is on the Guinness Book of World Records, largest glass thing of a mausoleum. It's over 2,000 feet,
Wow.
or yeah. And there are motion sensors. So we got to remember is that a lot of that area is a lot of grass. It's all wooded area. There could be mice running around.
Oh yeah, field mice.
And they could be hitting those motion sensors, which it could be causing that. I mean, would I like to think in the back of my head that hey, it's got to be something paranormal, supernatural? Of course, but I think that because of the motion sensors on that place, it probably is some kind of animals that are coming in
Well,
there.
yeah, I kind of gathered that too, but it was just you're looking there just as it's happening.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
you know, I mean, I don't. The other thing, you ever hear of the hodag?
Hodag. What's a hodag?
Look it up once. It's Rylander, Rylander, Wisconsin.
Okay, I will.
They're famous for the hodag. Now, it was a made-up creature back in, I can't remember the exact dates, but it was back in the 1930s or 50s. They were trying to get more tourists dollars there in Rylander. So this group of people made up this creature, real ugly looking thing. A little mix of this and a little mix of that, and you know, they even got a statue of it in the center of town, right? But they made up this thing and people got talking about it, and I saw it, and it became real over time.
Sure.
Another example of your topa. You know, they made it to and it's documented that way, that it was a made up thing to boost tourism.
Sure. Sure.
I mean, that's the story behind this, but over time people say they've seen it, and it's a real ugly looking thing. It's got horns, and it's like the body of a lizard, but you know it's hard to describe. But it's almost scientifically impossible.
Okay.
You know, that's one of those things that
Like a
just,
chupacabra.
yeah, well, yeah, no, because the chupacabra, I think it does exist,
Hmm.
but it's like misidentified.
Sure.
Like they've done the DNA samples on this one that this lady's got, and I think it's in Texas, and they've got like Mexican wolf, something else. I think it was Mexican wolf, coyote, and then they couldn't figure out what third animal or DNA sample was.
Hmm.
So it kind of baffled them. But it's like, those creatures just happen to exist. But, there's been a lot of cross breeding over generations. And it's like, how can that happen? Well, you know, 2,000 years ago or whatever it was, dire wolves walked the planet.
Hmm.
And they crossbreeded. There's some gray wolves that look extra large. Why? Because they've got that dire wolf DNA, you know.
No,
But trying to bring something back, I don't think that's going to work too well either.
sure, sure.
Like they've done that with the dire wolves. There's three of them,
Hmm.
so they say. But
Yeah.
they used gray wolves to and kind of manipulated the DNA, you know. And it's like playing God again in the Jurassic Park world.
Yeah, I just watched
That's
that
gonna
last
get
Jurassic Park movie.
that's gonna get dangerous. So, you know, I've been down to Chicago many times. I'm real fascinated with the Bloody Mary, as you call her, or Resurrection Mary, as you call her. Um, but the other one that fascinates me, and that's the cemetery down there. And I'm not sure what the story is because I haven't got it all yet.
Hmm.
Bachelor's Grove.
Oh, Bachelor's Grove. Well, Bachelor's Grove, to a lot of people, it's the most haunted cemetery in America. And I explained to people what's going on at Bachelor's Grove Cemetery. Back in the 1950s and 60s, people started noticing blue orbs of light bouncing around the cemetery area. The cemetery area is only 1 acre. And a lot of those graves are there and there's only like something like 99 or 98 graves. And a lot of them are missing the bodies. Either they've been exhumed and placed somewhere else throughout time. A lot of the tombstones have been knocked over. So back in the 1950s and 60s, people started noticing these blue orbs of light. What's that going to do? It's going to attract in people with just natural curiosity, but it's also going to attract people in with bad intent and
Mhm.
with cult-like activity. So this was going on. People are going in there with cult-like activity, trying to open up things that they think that they're going to make this special deal with some kind of spirit or devil or whatever to help them out in life, right? And what they're doing is a form of possession that has happened on these grounds. Instead of a human host, it's the grounds that's getting possessed. So in possession, we have an infestation. And in this case here, it's these cult-like activities. They're coming out there trying to open up things that they know nothing about. Think of it as like termites to a tree or ants to a tree. So we start with the infestation. These are these ants to the tree, which are these cult-like people to the land. They start gnawing away, trying to open up things, and then it leads into our oppression. In the human body, that's a breakdown of the body. Instead of the human host, once again, it's the land. So what happens is all of a sudden that tree starts getting broken down. This land's getting broken down because all these people are trying to open up things that they know nothing about. Then we start to get into obsession, and then we get into possession. And this place here, Bachelor's Grove Cemetery, a lot of people they get very obsessed with it. I know of people who've actually quit their jobs and they lived on the land. Whereas I knew a guy who was actually a very intelligent person, and he decided to quit everything in life, and he was so obsessed because he got an attachment that he decided to live on this land, which is Bachelor's Grove Cemetery. But it's not the cemetery that's haunted; it's the land that surrounds it that's haunted. We actually, me and my buddy Steve, we did recordings of there with our Anahata Spirit Portal box, which you saw at one of the Paracons. I'm sure that big old box I have, right?
Yep, yep.
So what it is I started noticing that a lot of the phrases and talking was in reverse, and that's something that a lot of us don't recognize. Some of us do, not all of us. And it was just by mistake that I recognized it. Is that you start getting replies backwards? They're all in reverse. So what you do is you put it into an Audacity system or any kind of recording system, and you reverse the reverse on it. You're going to probably find out that you're getting your answers, and they're in full form. As in, one of our answers was Angel Michael. I had his training, reinforcing energy. These are full sentences by whatever we're picking up on the Anahata box. So I call them mirror zones because it's reverse. When we look in the mirror, it's reverse of what we're seeing, right?
Right.
So this is going on inside this place. So when people are going out there with their EV to get EVPs with the recording devices, and they're thinking that they don't have anything, or they're picking up something that doesn't make any sense, put it in an Audacity system and reverse it, and then it might all of a sudden start making sense. But Bachelor's Grove Cemetery is very real. We've actually, when we're doing our tours through there at the back end of it, and we come through there with the bus, we noticed when I first started doing this 10 years ago, faces started showing up in the windows when people are taking pictures of their person who's closest to the window. So we actually have real photos of this happening, um, where faces just start appearing inside of the windows. And people have gotten attachments. I've gotten attachments from this place. I don't particularly like going there that much because I know that these things exist there. It's a very real place, Bachelor's Grove Cemetery. Many different stories that they talk about, anything from a caretaker to a caretaker that killed his family and then hung himself to the Madonna Bachelor's Grove Cemetery,
I've
which was,
heard that one.
yeah, that picture was taken in 1991 by a lady by the name of Judy Huff. And it's a picture, a silhouette picture, transparent, um, of a lady sitting on a tombstone.
Yep.
Yeah, that's I believe that's actually identified as a lady by the name of Amelia Patrick Humphreys. Um, she's the wife of the founder of Orland Park. That's who I believe that this person is. But it's a very real place, Bachelor's
It's a
Grove.
very spooky place. I mean,
Yeah.
once I went there with Dale Kazmarek,
Hmm.
okay, and he took us back there, and it was quite a little bit of a hike, but we he took us back there, and I just got a real eerie feeling about that place. It was like the land or spirits didn't want us disrupting whatever was going on.
Right. Well,
It's like I got a feeling like we weren't even welcome there. You know.
and also you got to remember is that before any of the pioneers ever got there, it was Native Americans, the Potawatomi tribe, that actually lived on those lands. So are people doing things to the land that's breaking sacred things, sacred ceremonies were placed upon the land? And somehow or another, that's what could also be causing the negative effects that are going on this land. You know, people go in there. A lot of people go in there just to go for a walk because they have common interest and interest in wanting to see what it looks like. But then you get your really crazy people, like I said, who go out there and they think that they're going to make some deal with something. They're going to get something out of it.
Yeah,
And
or they're going to do their little satanic whatever and destroy some of the. I've seen some of the destruction
oh yeah,
that people do, and they start fires on the tombstones.
yeah,
You can actually see some of that, and
yeah,
moving the tombstones around, and it's like some of these are out of place because and it's like, geez, you'd think some kids would get a better idea and go someplace else, but because it's so secluded, they go back there to do whatever.
yeah. It's not like it's well supervised there. So a lot of people, and the thing is that people get assaulted back there. It's a very not just spirits and stuff. People get assaulted by people because people live in those woods. A lot of homeless people live in those woods.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that. I mean, that'll happen just about anywhere. I mean, I grew up in Madison, big
Yeah,
town. college town, and there's just a small little batch of woods on the north side by Warner Park, and I walked through there one day, and there was actually like a man-made tent, and the homeless guy was there sleeping in it. And man, that can get scary, especially if you can't defend yourself too well.
Yeah, a lot of women, and I tell women on the tour because they all get this thing that they can go there at night, and I tell them don't do it. I go, it's not the ghosts that are going to get you, man. It's real people. They're
Yeah,
waiting for women, especially women, so they can assault them inside these woods. Say
you
so.
know,
You got two things to worry about.
yeah, I never realized how much that the homeless people are really homeless, until I was driving around in Chicago and we saw like tents by an off ramp, kind of,
Yeah.
and people were living in these tents,
Oh yeah.
you know, and it's like, my God, I would never want to go out in some of these places at night,
No, 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 no.
you know.
I lived in the city for years. I I do not like going in the downtown part of Chicago unless it's early in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, I, 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 I knew how bad Chicago was to an extent, but when I actually started going there on a regular basis, I got afraid a little bit, and it's not just that. I wear, you've seen the vest I wear.
Yeah.
I did it right, but, there's a lot of them bikers down there too.
Oh yeah, dude, come on. You got Hell's Henchmen. You got the henchmen down here.
And the outlaws.
You got the outlaws on the over near 31st. I because I have a buddy of mine who's an outlaw. Um, so you still have a lot of guys, but they actually keep a lower profile than you think. You know.
Well, I got scared just because it was just me and my wife, and our truck looks the way it does, no police vehicle, and we pull into this gas station and there's like 20 of them, right there
Hmm.
in plain sight, just standing next to their bike, smoking a cigarette or whatever. And it's like, shit, I'm afraid to get out of this van, get out of the truck just to go in and get a soda and a pack of smokes, you know.
Yeah,
But I did.
those guys there though, they're not going to really bother you. To be honest with you, they
Well, I was thinking because my vest has like their patch, got patches that look like theirs, but they're not red and white. So I stayed
yeah,
away from the colors, right? And I got the guts because I wasn't going to let my wife get out and walk. I said, I'll do it. So I got
yeah,
out and they looked at me and like, just like I wasn't there.
yeah. Yeah,
So,
you don't want to get that that mix up thing. I remember watching this one thing that the guy was wearing like one percenter, and they're like, "Oh, who are you with?" Da da da, and the guy's like, "Oh, I had this made up." He goes, "Oh, it looks nice," and then they had a little chit chat with him.
you know, yeah, it's just scary sometimes going out. It's because I'm older,
Sure, I get it, man.
and I'm not as in shape as I used to be because of the chemo and the radiation and all that. But man, there were some times around here in Madison that I would have never went out at night in some of these neighborhoods, and I still wouldn't,
Yeah, yeah.
because things have gotten so bad. But on another note, what do you think about the Mothman?
Ah, the Mothman that they talk about is seen in Chicagoland, right?
Right.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think it's all bull crap. I really do. It's actually been known with that picture. My buddy San Morato, and Jack Chavez. They
Mm-hmm.
actually proved that it was a kite.
Yeah.
That was a picture that was up there. I'm sorry, man, and that's the thing is, I don't believe everything. If I did, I think I'd be very foolish. I do not believe, and recently, I guess there was another sighting. I guess the other day, of people believe that was like a Mothman sighting in the Chicago area. I'm not saying that these people didn't see something because they probably did see something, but we also have to remember is there's some very large owls in Illinois. So, a case in point, 3 4 years ago, right here at my house, me and my son, we just got through watching the Super Bowl. And I went walking outside with him to throw out 2 bags of garbage. And the neighbor's house across the way, my hand to God, had this huge owl on the top of their roof. And at first I was like, what in the heck? What is that? And I was like, and I was telling him, there is and I was telling him about the legend of the Mothman. And I said, there's a chance that people believe that stuff like this is the Mothman. And I could see how they would think of it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to also think is that there are eagles in Illinois. The eagle's wingspan is
Well,
huge.
the Eagles are almost everywhere,
Yeah.
and they're not even got the largest wingspan. And I saw something, and I swear to God, I'm driving down uh, the Beltline, which is a highway, from Madison to Cambridge to Fort, and I'm driving down, and you got them big, exit signs over the where they, this way the Dells, this way Chicago, but they're like at least 6 feet long,
Right.
you know, to get all that information on there. And this bird was perched on that sign, and I swear to God, its wingspan went well over the distance of that thing. And I was going too, but we were going too fast to totally tell, but you know, that could have been mistaken for the Mothman too, because the thing was all black.
Right. I mean,
Now,
I believe that that thing did happen in Point Pleasant. I believe there was a creature, and I'm not disputing that one. I really am. I really am not. But I just don't believe that it's here in Chicago. I
well, I
just
don't either. I don't believe it's this far because we've got some large birds, like vultures and turkey
yeah,
vultures that got a huge wingspan. And again, they're all black,
yeah,
turkey vultures and stuff. So I'm thinking that's what I saw is like, we're going into where their habitat used to be in building. They got to move somewhere,
right, right,
right?
yeah, yeah,
So in normal circumstances, well, you wouldn't see these sightings too often, but yet man built into their habitat, they're going to go somewheres. They're not just going to disappear, and you're going to get these strange sightings. And from what I know about the Mothman, from watching and doing my research, I watched that Mothman Prophecies, you know, the one in Point Pleasant and stuff like that, and the eerie stuff, if any of it is true from the movie, that thing almost is like a Behringer of Doom
yep. That's what they say is that when
before
it,
before it
yeah,
happens, before
yeah.
any. But yet you're getting all these sightings in Chicago, and where's the Behringer of Doom?
I don't know. That's actually a very,
That's
very
what
good question.
don't add up there.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, you see, now I've been told, and I don't know if this is real or not. Now we have over here Abbott Laboratories, okay, and there was this lady about maybe 7 years ago, 5 or 7 years ago, emailed me that she worked for Abbott Laboratories. That's in the Willow Springs area, around the Willow Springs area, right, countryside. And she said, Neil, they're doing experiments here at the laboratories. I'm going to get you in. You need to see what's going on. I said, oh, okay. And at first, I'm like, who in the heck would actually? I said, you'd lose your job if you let me in. And she swore that they were conducting some kind of experiments at these Abbott laboratories. I don't know if it's Willow Springs or Countryside, but they're over in that area where Jack has his conferences. And this lady said a very detailed, and she actually talked to me on the phone. And all of a sudden, then we lost communication with her because we were going to somehow get into the Abbott laboratories. And because there was an Abbott laboratory actually that was on Archer Avenue at one time.
Really?
That it was there where the first radioactive nuclear bomb was at, that was placed in the ground. Three of them from the university in Chicago, University of Chicago. And what they did is they buried them deep in the ground underneath concrete. And there was an Abbott laboratory over in that area over there off of Archer Avenue. I could show you one day. And you can see all the original fencing and all that stuff when you go through that fielded area.
Oh,
And there's actually a lot of sightings of paranormal stuff in those woods. It's not just a lot of these stories, and I know people center on like Resurrection Mary and the Monk's Castle and stuff like that. But I think there's actually more going on inside those woods that are very undocumented.
yeah. I haven't been there that much, but boy, I'm finding Chicago more and more interesting
Oh
over
yeah.
time.
So there you have there that's called Archer Wood Cemetery. That's off of 83rd and Keene. That's off of Archer Avenue, right? And it's known for a simple story of the Wailing Lady of Archer Wood Cemetery. Um, we went to. I see your quotes over here. Hello, should outside more and Kimmy Corpse. Hi, y'all. Um, so, so what happens is we notice that there's a lot of shadow people inside Archer Wood Cemetery. We
Really?
have a whole bunch of documented. I was on CNBC News. We were the first ones to show this going on at Archer Wood Cemetery of all these shadow people. I actually have pictures of them running side by side inside this place. These, for
Oh,
whatever reason, there is a ton of shadow people inside this cemetery called Archer Wood Cemetery.
oh. You know, some people don't believe, you know, cemeteries can be haunted. But you figure all those people that are there laying, I mean, we've got one of the oldest cemeteries in Madison.
Hmm.
And, you've got people buried there from every war.
Sure.
Okay. And they say it's one of the most haunted cemeteries, in Wisconsin.
Okay.
And it's been on one of those, what was that show? Oh, most haunted places, and they do like volume one, volume two,
Hmm.
and they talk about Forest Hill Cemetery on Speedway Road in Madison, and people, and I experienced this, and I had no idea what it was, that it was a phenomenon going on there, because I experienced this when I was a kid. My grandmother and family owned houses right across the street from the cemetery. So I spent a lot of time playing in this cemetery. But they claim that they walked through the cemetery and their batteries would just suddenly die on like a Walkman or their phone or whatever. People jogging, because they'd rather jog on the trails that go from one end to the other end, because it's safer than being right next to Speedway Road. But there's a lot of documented cases there, and there's documents of the shadow people in that. Now, I didn't see anything when we were there doing the investigation, but we did have batteries die. that were fresh. I mean, we took them out of the packages and put them in, like for the flashlights and stuff. Wiped out a couple of battery, a couple of fresh things with the batteries. Man, that place is really strong when it comes to taking out equipment.
Yeah. So one of your people are asking, what's your view with investigating cemeteries? Though a lot of countries in Europe don't do it at all for respect and leaving them in peace. Just wonder what, I should go outside. My view is all right. There's a lot of lost souls that are out there. Okay, there is a belief, the umbilical cord theory, the ethereal umbilical cord. Okay, when traumatic and dramatic things happen to people, they get a car crash.
Right,
They don't know that they're dead, but then they always have the last memory of where they were at and this and that, and they may not be buried in the proper laying place, and they become like lost souls. Do I believe that every cemetery is haunted? And originally, I did not believe this. I said, just like you probably said, it's a place of peace, right? I get
right.
that. But then we went out to some of these places and we used our Anahata Spirit portal box and we used recordings because we were doing trial basis on things. Like I'm thinking the same thing. Why would there be like, take for instance, churches? Why would a church be haunted, right?
Hmm.
Then all of a sudden we start doing some things and we start catching these voices. Could these be some of these lost souls that may not have been properly buried correctly? I don't know, but we are getting evidence that spirits or voices or some kind of anomaly is going on. An anomaly is something that's going on that shouldn't be going on. So I
Right,
can't really define exactly, oh, it's a ghost. But there is an anomaly that is going on in some cemeteries, not all, that you will capture these voices, or you'll start getting these voices that make sense on some of your spirit boxes. Like I told you about mirror zones, you start getting it where all these phrases are in reverse, and then you put in your Audacity system,
see,
and then you,
that's something I never thought of, and I got a few recordings I'm going to do that with.
yeah, it was totally. I just noticed it that the replies were in reverse. It's like listening to. You remember when back when we were kids, man? You would do the record
Yep.
backwards. It's exactly how it sounds. So I started paying attention to that. And what I would do is I would put that in a recording program and reverse it. And then all of a sudden it makes sense. The answers that you're getting are making sense. Do you ever wonder if they're guardians watching over the dead or worried about curses or holy ground, though? Um, do you ever wonder if they're guardians watching over the dead? I don't know, to be honest with you, or worried about curses on holy ground, though. Okay, so we were just talking about.
You know,
I should go outside. We were just talking about Bachelor's Grove, and I was just talking to them about how people are coming into this cemetery because of the natural curiosity of things and cult-like activity. It's a form of possession that's going on the grounds. Instead of a human host, it's the grounds. They're coming out there trying to open up things that they know nothing about. So technically, in the way that you're talking, they are cursing the land, which causes then attachments to happen to people. So do I believe in that? Yes. I believe that
yeah,
people can curse the land. And when they do something that was supposed to be meant as your sacred land, uh, they all of a sudden turn that around and where it's not holy ground anymore. So yeah, I do think that, but it's all about intent. The intent of the individuals that are going out there trying to mess with things. So I hope
right.
it helped out.
If you're out there investigating and you're out there with good intentions, like you
Yeah,
should be, um, you're not going to disturb anything. You're just trying to record some, facts or whatever you can find, evidence, and answer some questions. You should be fine from you know any because you're not disturbing the land. You're not trying to bring up a spirit, or you're just trying to communicate and get evidence.
right.
But you shouldn't go out there to those places for bad intentions to do things and mess with it, because that's when karma is going to bite you in the ass.
Oh yeah,
And karma, I believe, is a real thing.
I do too. I truly do. Some people don't. I'm a big believer. What you put in, you get it. You get out. I really do.
Right. And I just hope I'm alive long enough to see karma bite some people in the ass that deserve it. It's like, we go to places. I try not to disturb anything. I try to be real careful of the environment around me. And I try to respect, if I go into a cemetery, I try to respect the dead. You know, I,
Yeah.
I, I've gone to this one that was really kind of spooky. What is it called? Eagle Road Cemetery. It's out in the middle of nowhere in Juneau, and there's nothing really around. It's about the size of Bachelor's Grove. It's real small. And oh my God, did we get some weird activity. One night we were out there around 11, 12 o'clock. Nobody's going to force anything because you're on farm road, you know, and all that shit. But we were there and we had flyovers,
Right.
and I'm like, what the fuck? There should be no planes taking off from the airports or landing at this airport because they're all closed. But there was an actual flyover. It was a jet.
Right.
So I figured it was military or something at night. So we didn't really get nothing because of this flyover. So we went back out there again the next day. It was nice and quiet, clear skies, you know, and all of a sudden we got growling from across the street. There was
Hmm.
no farm there, no house there, you know, and what we saw was like reddish color eyes coming out of the woods across the street from the place. It was like hellhounds.
Oh, just so you know, Bachelor's Grove is also known for a hellhound. And
And
what's odd is this year I was doing the tour, and it gets darker earlier when it becomes fall. And this mother with her daughter were leaving, and I think a dad was with them too. And they came up to our group and they said, "Hey, be careful of that big dog back there. It follows you as you start to exit." I said, "That's weird." I go, because that's part of the legendary story about this super bred wolf, hybrid wolf, that's supposed to follow people as they're exiting out while they're on the trail leaving our Bachelor's Grove Cemetery. So that's actually odd that you also are getting that there as well as here at Bachelor's
well,
Grove.
yeah, it's just we heard it and we took out thermals. I have a thermal camera. It's not a very expensive one, but it's got the little bitty screen. Nothing. Couldn't pick up nothing from them woods. You know, but the growling, you could hear it as plain as day. We heard it, and but yet it didn't get on some of the recording devices.
Right.
Only the little, but the cameras didn't pick it up. But the little, little voice recorder picked it up as clear as day, and it's like, wow, this is weird.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, there's those things that you just can't explain. That happen, and I'm trying to figure out and explain some of these things. What?
Right. No, and you're absolutely right. I was gonna say should go is that it's part of Egyptian community mummification. The afterlife is these hellhounds. I've actually come across something. We came up with a thing called the Osiris box. And speaking of Egypt and this and that, and we used it because it was part of the land of the dead in Egypt. And when we got through building this thing, it started saying, "Hi, my name's Osiris," and we're like, "It's not like we have something in it." It's just odd that you say that about the Anubis and the underworld and this and that. It just brought it to my mind about another spirit box that we had called the Osiris box, and it's just odd. I just thought I had comment on that. And your hellhounds,
Yeah, there's all kinds of stories. I mean, I grew up here in Wisconsin all my life,
yeah,
you know, and I had no idea how strange it was.
yeah. I really believe that. Like you think that Chicago's strange. I think actually Wisconsin's strange.
You
So we
know,
went out. Me and Larry, we went out to a place called in Jericho, Wisconsin, called the Trinity. Have you ever heard of it?
no,
Okay, so you guys have a thing in Wisconsin that's in Jericho, Wisconsin, and me and Larry and Brittany and I was with a couple other people. We went out there to record and film at a place called Trinity. This place is very real. When me and Larry first went there with this other girl, I started picking up that there were children that were beaten down in the basement. And I said, Larry, I really have a feeling that children. What it is, it's an old convent, it's an old school, and it's an old church. And this place, the activity that you get, the intelligent answers to your questions. So we did Estes method down there, and Larry's got on these headphones, and sound deafening headphones. He's got sensory deprivation going on, the mask, da da da. All of a sudden I started asking a question, were there children down here? And all of a sudden you get answers. Yes, we were beat. And then we held a conversation with an old nun who died of cancer. That place there, I recommend people, if you're looking for that next level in paranormal investigation, research, do it. Larry's going to have out the film sometime next year. It's going to be called Trinity. And the amount of activity that happens in Wisconsin when those northern lights hit last year, when these northern lights hit, that's when you get the best of your activity where you're starting
oh,
to
they just
communicate.
had, they just were, just like yesterday, the day before, I saw all kinds of pictures flooding Facebook from with different areas,
Yeah,
taking pictures of the northern lights.
yeah,
It's amazing how you can see them from different places in Wisconsin.
yeah, yeah.
And it is the same thing in most cases. Bigfoot
Well,
and Sasquatch.
so I'm not a Bigfoot guy. Not that I don't like Bigfoot, but I think the name Sasquatch goes back to a Native American name, and Bigfoot came to as an American name. So I don't think there's a difference between Sasquatch and Bigfoot. There is two different names that supposedly identify this certain creature. So
Right,
Sasquatch is just a Native American name,
right.
and Bigfoot
Which
is an
most of them
American
are.
name. Okay, so I don't think there's any difference in that whatsoever. Or should go. Um, I don't. And Bigfoot's totally a different world for me. And but I paid attention to it, but I am not a someone who researches Bigfoot.
I
And I
haven't done any either yet.
yeah, but I mean, I've had people on my podcast and we've talked about it. I believe there is a Bigfoot. The
Well, people are seeing something, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And we get a lot of sightings here. I see it a lot. And one place that's really in particular that's gets a lot of it is this little stretch of highway that runs right through Kettle Moraine Forest, which takes up a good portion of our state, because it comes from the far south and it goes way up towards Green Bay and beyond. The forest does without much breaks. But there's a road and it goes between a town called Eagle and Palmyra. And when people travel that road, they say that they see it crossing the road a lot. The sightings usually happen right on that and it's crossing.
right.
So it's usually people that are driving that particular highway I think it's 59, and it's got probably the most sightings in the
Right.
southern part of the state.
So that to get to should go now. To add on to that, I've seen that Peterson Gimlin film so many times. That was 1967.
Yep, year I was born.
I believe that is real. I really do. The reason why is those muscles are moving on those thighs. There's no way that was a suit. I'm sorry. Once again, I'm someone who doesn't.
Hollywood didn't look what Planet of the Apes. They looked so fake during that movie. Hollywood couldn't even make a suit
You're right.
to
There's
look
no
that
way.
real.
And I'm someone who doesn't believe everything. I do believe that there's a Bigfoot. I do not believe though part of that all these different identities you give to all these Bigfoots. The reason why is how can you classify something, put it in a classification? See, because everything with classification goes kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. How can you give all these names out to something if you've never captured one?
Right.
And not that I don't believe in Bigfoot, but you call this one the Yeti, you call this one the brown and blue something. How can you give it all these names? Just
Or
you,
Yowie and
yeah,
you know,
I
yeah.
just don't do it.
It's just you know, I guess they're just the science and stuff is just starting to have an open mind.
Oh
In some things. Because UFO sightings are coming out. More and more military are coming out saying, "Yeah, we were flying our jets over such and such, and there was this UFO, and we couldn't identify it." But some people can. Some things can just, if you don't know your area well enough, it's just a
yeah,
misidentification. But for everybody to describe the same thing, and the way they describe it, I believe it's true.
yeah, yeah,
And then there's those people that are just out there seeking the fame.
yeah. I agree that
Or
there is a Bigfoot. I just don't believe that there. You give out all these names. There's a lot of people that are bullshit. You know that, and I know that.
yeah,
But I do believe that there is a Bigfoot. Plain and simple.
you
There
know,
is a Sasquatch. Yes.
it's like we got one of our famous ones here is the Beast of Bray Road.
Yep. Yep.
Now I've spent the best part of, well, let's see, 2019, 20, 5, 6 years. This was the only year I didn't make it out there, but we spend every year out there investigating the Beast of Bray Road.
Yeah.
There's this property, it's like 34 acres. This man owns the property. We got to camp out there one night and do an investigation. And what happened, I give credit to this because it goes to Barnaby Jones. He credited this property and calls it the Skinwalker Ranch of Wisconsin.
Okay.
All the activity that happens on that little land is a lot more than the Beast of Bray Road.
Okay.
So what's going on in that little hunk of area? There's something weird going on there.
Oh yeah, man. You know what? And I really think that Wisconsin. The thing is, I love Wisconsin, man. I love Wisconsin, and I love going through there. You guys, you guys got a lot of deep, legendary stories of all these creatures that are going on there. All these old bars that have activity going on. You guys have such great history. That like the old Baraboo Inn, which I haven't been to, but I eventually want to get there. My buddies have been
Yeah,
there.
yeah. To me, that's more of one of those. I don't want to diss the Baraboo Inn, but I think it's like they're in it for the money
Oh, I'm sure a lot of people are there. Like take for instance.
because the people
Yeah.
that own that Baraboo Inn, it's all about the money, embellishing the story, and part of me wants to go there and check it out myself, and the other part says, "Well, you're going to fall into their trap," you know.
Probably. You know what? Here's the thing: is one thing I've noticed from doing the tours for so long is because I'm a storyteller, right?
Yeah,
Everything starts out with a true story, some kind of origin story, right? So we have a place that's in Thornton, Illinois, that used to be a place where they used to have like Al Capone go out there and the distribution of illegal stuff, right? And there is an activity that's going on there. But what they do is they build it up bigger than what it is. But
yeah.
when you really break down everything, you get through everything, there is some truth to almost everything. There might be something true to Old Baraboo Inn. Take, for instance, Broadhead Manor. Have you ever been to Broadhead Manor in Wisconsin?
No, not yet.
All right. Broadhead Manor, I went there a couple of years ago, and that place there, and I don't even know why this kind of spirit activity is happening inside this place, but this place is very active. What part of Wisconsin? I'm trying to remember what part of Wisconsin. Broadhead Manor. Just look up Broadhead Manor.
Yeah, I know where it is.
Yeah, Bill, the
Um,
owner, Bill Walter, the owner, one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Man, very nice dude. And they have such great activity that goes on in that place, Broadhead Manor.
yeah, there's an old jailhouse that we went to that housed Ed Gein before he
Mm-hmm.
was transferred to Madison to Mendota, the mental hospital. That's where he died, in Madison.
Mm-hmm.
But we went there and they showed you the like it's like a museum type place now, but they had the old jail cell. This is the one that Ed Gein was in, and that place, just in and of itself, because it housed Ed Gein and everything else, there was some activity going on in that place because it housed some pretty nasty people.
Yeah, institutions are notorious. So I worked at the Cook County Jail that's on the south side of Chicago for over 30 years.
That's right. You were a Cook County sheriff, weren't you?
Yeah, and I worked the psych department for 22 years. And when I tell you I dealt with the most notorious, most evil sons of bitches you ever did meet, it's true. And I worked on the floor that we used to house John Wayne Gacy, Richard Speck, all those guys. Now understand, I wasn't there at the time. I wasn't even there yet, but I know of all the real true stories of what was going on in there. But I knew of all the rooms that where they housed Richard Speck, John Wayne Gacy, because I used to work inside those rooms.
Oh,
The energy that happens inside institutions and jails and prisons. There's a ton of shadow people that go on inside those places.
oh, I believe it.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, I went to. I didn't get to investigate it, but I did go there, take pictures of the outside, got a tour of the first floor, but we didn't get to go up to the fifth floor where everything's going on usually. But we
Mhm.
went to Eloise, and I
Oh
definitely want to go back.
yeah. I
Now,
haven't been there either, but I'd love to.
I got a brick from the bakery, which was the last building they tore down recently. So
Hmm.
I got an actual brick from the building, right?
Hmm.
We were bringing it back, and there's a new to us truck, 2019, Ford Explorer, Police Edition, the whole, and air conditioner worked fine, all the way to Michigan. When we left Michigan and the brick from Eloise was in the truck, the air conditioning went out
Oh wow.
before we even left Michigan. So we had to go through Indiana, Chicago, and back up, all in 90-degree heat, and no air conditioning. There was no winds. It's like, wow.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So I forgot about the brick being in the back of the truck. My wife goes to work for the next few days and she sees something in the rearview mirror. and she realized that brick was in there, and she's like, "Take that son of a bitch out of the truck now,
Yeah, yeah,
please." So I took it out, and it sits in the driveway. But she had a little bit, you know. But that was a kind of a cool place. I definitely want to go back.
yeah. I hear you.
You know, there's also Far School was pretty active
Hmm.
in where was that? Maxwell, Iowa. We went to Far School after we went to the Buddy Holly crash site,
Oh, really? Wow.
and we had that school was just really active from the minute, like the second we got there. You
Hmm.
know, we're just getting there and unpacking and setting up equipment and stuff is already starting to happen.
Right.
You know, we weren't even prepared to you know, start recording. Oh, hey, Nick. I didn't even know who that was at first.
What's going on, Nick? How you been? Hope you're feeling good.
Yeah. So looks like our time's up.
Yeah.
So what do you got going on for the
Oh, you
rest
know
of
what?
the year?
I'm taking a little break, but I do have Days of the Dead next week in Rosemont. I'll be there at the Crown Plaza with Tribe 3 Productions, Cryptic Convergence. We'll have our area over there. I'm going to be speaking at 4 o'clock. Chris Fleming's going to be out there. He's going to be speaking on Saturday, I think 12 o'clock. So Chris is going to be out there. And a lot of people are going to be out there who are going to be speaking about the paranormal, the supernatural. I recommend people. Flash Gordon's going to be there, dude. Flash
Oh
Gordon.
yeah, Sam.
Yeah. So I'm
Sam.
looking.
Oh, I
Oh,
can't
very
even
cool.
remember his last name, but yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So I'm actually trying to look for an action figure because I collect action figures, so that he can sign it. So I'm going to see if I can find one and see if he'll sign it for me. Because I'm a dork, and so I
Well,
love
I
stuff
think
like that.
a lot of us from our generation probably are have that little bit of dork in us. I mean, I collected comic books in the '70s, and
Oh yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, my
watched all those Saturday morning cartoons with all the
Oh
good
hell yeah,
shows.
dude! Grab your Captain Crunch or Quisp.
Yep,
Fill that sucker up. Go through a whole box watching Super Friends.
HR Puff and stuff.
Oh yeah, dude. Yes, you remember Spectre Man?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Hmm.
All right. So it's gonna be. That's it. So I
Yeah.
guess you can find Neil. Where can we find you?
So you can go to Graveside, Graveside. It's Graveside, not Gravesite. On Graveside Paranormal on Facebook, gravesideparanormal.com. Come out for one of our tours. We mainly stick around the October months just to do tours because that's the best time to go out is around the month of October. But we do have little events that go on during the summertime. So come on out, gravesideparanormal.com. Come out, check us out. Hope to see everybody there. And as always, boo.
Oh, all right. Have a great weekend, people. Stay safe, and remember, anything's possible.
Anything.